everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. I've been really anxious about getting this next chapter of my ultimate top 100 board games out to you. So without anything else, I just want to say that if you haven't watched this series, go back and watch the first video. It explains how I came up with this list of my ultimate top 100 board games, and that'll give you a clear picture about what's going on. So let's get right to it. And number 80 is a game called Trois. Trois is a game designed by Sébastien Dujardin, Xavier Georges, and Alan Orban. It's kind of a medieval theme type of thing, but it's about area influence and dice rolling and dice drafting and end game bonuses that are really cool. It's for 2 to 4 players. It came out in 2010, and the art is by Alexander Roche, and I tell you that I just love the art in this. Again, it's kind of a medieval type of theme in Trois, I think in 1200s or something like that, and you're simply going to have your worker meeples, or I forget what they call it, agents maybe, out in different areas of the city, and I think there's culture, military, and money, and you're, according to how many guys you have there, is how many dice you're going to get for yourself, your worker pool, and you roll those dice and put them in your district in the city, and you're going to use those dice for various actions. There's activity cards that you're going to be putting workers on to get extra benefits, and then at the beginning of each round there's some event cards that come out that will frustrate you a little bit because it'll change the game dramatically. And that's one of the things I love about this game. Every time you play it, it's going to be completely different because of the different activity cards that have been chosen for the game. You only use 9, and they give you a bunch of them in the box. So you only use 9 activity cards, and then the event cards that come out in different order, it'll present a different problem to you every time you play. So I just love that, and you end up using some of your dice that you had mentally reserved for other actions to battle those event cards, and it's just a wonderful playing experience. Trois, I've loved it ever since we played it the first time, and it's an excellent, excellent game. I can't recommend it enough. And one of the cool things about this game also is the end game bonus cards that you have hidden for each player. All the players score those bonus cards, so you're trying to guess on which bonus cards your opponent's working on, and it's kind of fun to do that because sometimes you can bluff and do those sorts of things to throw them off the scent. But yeah, at the end of the game, everybody scores those cards, which is pretty cool. And that's Trois. Man, I love that game. If you don't have it, get it. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, if you have this game or if you ever get this game, let me show something here real quick. Lori made a little helper aid. This little card, because in this game it's very tricky trying to figure out how much dice cost. You can buy dice from other players, so it gets pretty tricky. But it's important to have this. It really, really is a great aid in playing this game. That way you don't have to remember the formula for how much to pay for the dice that you're taking. It's a wonderful, wonderful aid. Lori made this card, and I really appreciate it every time we play this game. So if you get this game, make sure you make that little card that tells you how much dice cost. It'll really, really ease the play in the game, and also it comes with a couple player aids that are very helpful also. So I love the production of this game. I love everything about Trois. Otherwise it wouldn't be my top 100. It's an excellent game. It's a classic, and I enjoy it every time I play it. That's Trois. Next one we're going to talk about is number 79, Stefan Feld's Forum Trajanum, which came out in 2018. The art is by Michael Menzel. I always mention the art if it's especially wonderful, and it is in this game. And this is a game of tile drafting and tile placement. And Forum Trajanum, you're trying to build the little monument on the board, and it has a point totals on each level of that monument. The crux of this game is at the beginning of your turn, you're going to select 2 tiles from the city cards that come up, and it'll tell you which rows and columns you have to use, and you get to keep one of those tiles, and you have to give one to the other player. And that's pretty hard to do because I guarantee you're going to want both of them at some point or another, and the decision is going to be very difficult. And then your neighbor's going to give you a tile, so you get to choose between those 2. And I'm telling you, this is an excellent, excellent game. It came out in 2018, and I think there was only one other game in 2018 that I thought was better than this and this is an extremely good game. Again, Stefan Feld's games are picked apart by everyone because he is, in most people's opinion, the best board game designer on the planet, and they expect perfection from him, and I think he got that in this game. I love this game. It has a central board where you're going to be placing tiles and trying to get majorities to score points. I mean, the game is very, very rich and deep, and I love it. It's Stefan Feld's Forum Trajanum. That's it. And number 78, Stefan Feld's Amerigo. This is going to be a Stefan Feld 10 series somewhat, but I can't help it. Don't kill the messenger. Amerigo came out in 2013, and it's for 2 to 4 players. And of course, if you haven't played this game or haven't talked to somebody else that has played this game, it's all about the cube tower, and there's a picture of it on the back. And that's your action selection mechanism. It drives this game, and it drives the decisions that you will make. You simply take a certain color of cubes, and it goes around in a rondelle situation where you grab like all the blue cubes, throw them down the tower, and whatever comes out of the tower, that's going to determine what actions you're going to take in that round. And man, I tell you what, I don't know, this is one of the coolest things ever. And then you're sailing around the islands, you're laying down tile and so forth, tile placement on the islands to get majority and to get extra benefits and points. So it's a lovely, lovely game. Amerigo is published by Queen Games. It's kind of a bigger box, but yeah, it's worth it. That's Amerigo by Stefan Feld. All right, number 77. This game is called Kanban EV. It's by Vita Lacerda. It came out in 2020. 1 to 4 players, so it has a solo variant, and that's kind of nice because a lot of people have a situation where they don't have someone to play with, and they can still play this game. That's pretty cool. I think the original Kanban came out in 2014, and I used to have a copy of that, and I hung on to it for a long time even after I had this game because, I don't know, this first edition thing sometimes can be awfully attractive, but I sold that first edition copy and kept Kanban EV for a number of reasons. And on Board Game Geek, this is rated at a 4.36 complexity. So this is a pretty involved game, and it is the only Vita Lacerda game in my library. The art is by Ian O'Toole, and this is a worker placement game. This is the best auto factory simulation you'll ever play. For us and our family, this theme is just overwhelmingly wonderful and interesting, and it's something that has really touched our lives because our family has worked in the auto shops. I just love this game because of the fact that we've had family that worked in the auto shop, and I love the fact that the upgraded version is EV, which is electric vehicles, and I love that part about it. And from the original to the new EV game, the artwork and the cosmetics of the game reflect that. They're just cleaner and prettier and more interesting than the original. And I like that because it changed to electric vehicle. So that's Kanban EV. It's an amazing board game. You're actually going to be collecting car parts and putting cars together and rolling them off the assembly line, and you want to be the one to get there first to get those cards. And the worker placement mechanism works from left to right, so you have to agonize over where you want to put your worker because the one furthest left goes first. Well, I mean, that's a neat mechanism, and you want to choose an action that you need, but you may want to go first because, like I say, to claim those cars off the assembly line. So it's tough decision making, and you get to go to the boardroom and score points in the boardroom. I mean, this game is absolutely amazing, and I love it. It's Kanban EV by Vita Lacerda. In my opinion, his best game ever. Okay. Number 76, a Stefan Feld game called Macao that came out in 2009, 2 to 4 players. And of all these games, this is probably one that is difficult to play in an hour because it's 12 complete rounds. You have to do 12 rounds in this game. The game has a round counter mechanism built in where you're going to select cards for each round. You lay them out at the beginning of the game, and as they disappear, the rounds disappear. So that's pretty cool. And in Macao, you're going to be converting dice values to action cubes that you're going to put on your windrows. So the decision is very difficult. I think you roll 6 dice, and you have to choose 2 of them, and those are the ones that you're going to take those colors of cubes of, because the dice are different colors. If it's a red 5 that you choose, you're going to take 5 red cubes and place them on the 5 value on your windrows, and then when that windrows turns, the values are going to change, and if you don't have any cubes on that windrows at that value, you get punished, because Stefan Feld always has a punishment mechanism in his games, and you're going to lose some points if you don't have cubes on that particular value. But working that windrose is the driving force in this game, and it's a wonderful mechanism that is not only captivating but addicting, and after a while you're fascinated by it. I really love Macao. It has card drafting in it and route building. Wouldn't recommend it for novices because there's a lot going on in this game. But once you figure it out, it's amazing. That's Macao by Stefan Feld. Oh, and it is being reprinted. This is an original copy, and you won't see any more of these. Queen Games is doing a Kickstarter with Stefan Feld right now to roll out some of his older titles with a new format. I don't know if they're going to be better. I don't know. They'll definitely be different. If you have a first edition copy of Macao, I would hang on to it for sure. And yeah, enjoy it the rest of your life. But yeah, the new Macao will be called Amsterdam. And I don't know if you can still get on board the Kickstarter or not. But while I'm on Kickstarter, it's not a good idea right now. If you watch Kickstarter, if you pay attention to Kickstarter, they're having trouble getting things delivered. It makes me very timid to put my money in a Kickstarter right now because I just don't know if they're going to deliver. I mean, there's games that are a year behind and they're having trouble delivering, and I just wouldn't advise backing any Kickstarters right now. That's just me. And since you are my friends, I want to put that kind of information out there for you. Be very careful. So, number 75, Stefan Feld's In the Year of the Dragon. Came out in 2007. And this is an action selection game for 2 to 5 players. It's a survival game where you're building palaces in your tableau with characters that are going to help you and give you benefits and help protect your palace from the events that are going to occur. This is the best survival game there is. It's the best one I've ever played. I like it because all the events or survival events are turned up before you. I think there's 9 or 11, I can't remember how many. But you lay them out randomly, turned over, and then you turn them face up before the game starts, and everybody can see what's coming. And you have 2 rounds of peace before you have to react to the first disaster. And that third tile, you better be ready for it. And so you're building that kind of wall of protection as you make your action selections and working this game to protect your palaces so you don't lose points and lose palace roofs and so forth. But yeah, In the Year of the Dragon is so amazing. This is the 10th anniversary edition. The production is nothing to write home about. Alea Games, they just have some games that, especially for Stefan Feld, that are really underproduced, and this is one of them. But it doesn't stop the game from being amazing, and it will not leave my library, and it'll be in my top 100 for a long time. That's Stefan Feld's In the Year of the Dragon. All right. Number 74. Tungaru by Lewis and Stefan Maltz came out in 2020, and the art is by Andrew Bosley, and it is a beautiful game. I mean, they did a nice job with the art in this game, Andrew Bosley. It's just beautiful game. And this is a hand management, worker placement with dice game, set collection. At the beginning of the round, you roll some dice, and everybody has to use those dice values for their dice. And that is really cool. You put them in your boat, and those are the values that you have to use. And then in your hand, you have 5 leader cards. Each one's different, and you have to choose right then which card you want to use. And that can be so agonizing. This game is prone to a little bit of analysis paralysis if that bothers you, because there's a lot to decide before you start your turn. What do I want to do? What can I do with those dice values that were rolled for me? You may not even have rolled them. Somebody else rolled them, and those are the values you have to use. And I love that about this game. And it reminds me of the next game I'm going to talk about, but I love that agonizing decision making right from the get-go of your turn. I just love that. The art in this game is magnificent. The production is incredible. I really love this game. I did back this on Kickstarter back before Kickstarter was having so many issues, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoy this game. That's Tungaru by Lewis and Stefan Maltz. Lewis and Stefan Maltz also assisted on Rococo, and they've done other games, but this is by far their best game. I really love this game for 2 to 5 players. Tungaru. And the next game, number 73 on my list, is Crown of Emara. And I love Crown of Emara. This is by Benjamin Schwer, and Crown of Emara came out in 2018 from 1 to 4 players, so it has a solo mode. The art is by Dennis Lohausen, and it's very pretty. all the artwork in this game. And this game is working a double rondel. You know, you have 2 boards. You're going to be working those rondels with the hand of cards that you've got, and you have a player board with 3 slots. So you have to choose which slot to put the card in that you chose for that turn, and that can be so agonizing. Man, I tell you, I literally freeze up. Like, I can use this card 3 different ways. How do I want to do it? And that's the beauty. I mean, and for me, tough decision making is what makes a board game wonderful, and it exists in Crown of Emara. I really, really love this game. So you have a double rondel hand management system that you're using, and worker placement, where you want to put your workers on that double rondel, whether it's getting resources or taking an action in the city. Oh my gosh, this game's amazing. It reminds me so much of Tungaru, and if you play both of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's Crown of Emara, number 73. Love that game. Next, number 72 is Luna by Stefan Feld. 2010 is the year it came out. It's for 1 to 4, so it has a solo mode. And this is an area majority tile placement game, worker placement game, and this is the High Priestess. And in this game, you don't have a player board, which I really, really like. You're just trying to get area majority in the surrounding islands. Every one of these islands has a different action, and so you have to think about what you were trying to do and where you want those people to go. And then you're taking tiles and placing them in the central board to score majority points and try and win the game. And it has a track around the outside where you have to meet the requirements to be able to take a tile from there to place in the center of the board. So I really love Luna. It's kind of an offbeat theme for Stefan Feld. It reminds me of Bonfire, kind of a fantasy type of theme, which aren't my favorite, but this game is really a lot of fun and really amazing, obviously, or I wouldn't have it at number 72 in my top 100. And that's Luna by Stefan Feld. All right, the last game of the day, number 71, is a game called Alm by Günter Burkhardt. Came out in 2016. The art is by Michael Menzel. And this is a set collection game, slide mechanism, and round counter. This is, 2 to 4 players. And this game plays so fast. It's 10 rounds, and they go very quickly. We've played this game in 20 to 25 minutes. We played it the other day 3 times in probably an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 15 minutes, something very quick. And I really like that about it, but the decisions are very difficult. I lost all 3 games, by the way. I was really mad. But yeah, Lori beat me all 3 times. That was awful. I had a terrible run. But yeah, in this game, do you remember those little slide things, maybe when you were a kid? You had one empty square and you had to move the other ones around to make a picture and slide them back and forth and so forth. Well, it has kind of a mechanism like that for your action selection. You're going to take a tile from the bag and it's going to have an action on it, and then you slide it into that 3x3 grid, which is 9 tiles, and you're going to push one of those out. And the 3 that are left are the 3 actions that you get to perform on your turn. That is so cool. And then Ulm, in the city of Ulm, they spent like 400 years building this cathedral. Various things happened, I'm sure, wars or whatever, and they just didn't get it done. So it took them like 400 years to build this cathedral. But the cathedral is an actual 3D piece on the board, and you have round modifiers, and they're in the form of tiles. And you take one of those tiles, put it on the cathedral, and that will change a rule for that particular turn in the game. And every time a new round comes, you put a new tile on the cathedral, and that's your round counter towards the end of the game. And that is really cool too. So that by the time you got that cathedral all built, all those tiles are on it, and it's really just a lot of fun. I don't know, this game doesn't get much press or much praise, but Günter Burkhardt did a nice job. Thank you, Günter, for this beautiful game. Again, it plays very fast, which is one of the things I love about it, and there's no player board either, and that's another thing I love about it. I think Trois was like that. No player board in Trois. All the action is taking place on the board. All the decisions and everything that you have to think about are right there in front of you on the main board. That's really cool. Now, it's Ulm, came down in 2016, and it is a wonderful, wonderful game. And that's the last game of the day. I try to get through those fast, and I'll try to get the next video out as quick as possible. I'm busy setting up our Christmas village, and we just got a lot of things going on. But I'm loving telling you about these games. These 10 games that I told you about today are just magnificent. And I want to tell you, I've already told you about 30 games. I want to say this to you. Those 30 games that I've told you about most of them have a medium to medium heavy complexity, and that's why they're down my list a little bit. I kind of built my top 100 a little different this year, and the games that are at the top of my list are going to be less complex, just as deep, just as wonderful, but just a little less going on in them. And I think that's good for the board gaming community, because I love to introduce people to board gaming. I think board gaming is a wonderful and social, loving exercise, intellectual exercise, and I think people of all kinds would love to play board games if it's a board game that they can understand and like. So these 30 games that I've given you so far, there's a little bit of complexity to them. So I just wanted to make sure you understood how I'm making this list. And as we go up the list, the games will be less complex. Again, very deep, tough decision making, because I don't like board games that aren't like that. So yeah, I can't wait to show you some more games. We'll get the next video out to you as soon as we possibly can. I love every one of you. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for subscribing. If you have any questions about any of these games, please type them in below the video, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we possibly can with answers. And keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.